It's outsourcing. You know what outsourcing means? Outsourcing means that your job went to Bangladesh. Now, there's another fancy term. Economists use a very lovely term for outsourcing. They don't like to call it outsourcing. They want to sound important. So they call it global labor arbitrage. And what it really says is we can get cheaper labor cost overseas. And that's, in some respects, that's good because that means a lower rate of inflation in the older economies. And when people think of global labor arbitrage, outsourcing, they think of it strictly that we're losing jobs. And in the U.S. has probably lost 3 million jobs to outsourcing in the last 5 years. But that's not the important statistic, oddly enough. It's what's happened to wages. In the last 5 years in the United States, for instance, average incomes have fallen by 4%. That's the story of outsourcing. That's the story of arbitrage. Because eventually, it's a scary thought, eventually what's going to happen in this global economy is that we're going to see wage compression. Translation is the wage base, particularly for what we will call the unskilled wage base or the lower skilled wage bases, is going to continue to decline while the wage base of the developing countries continues to go up. You might hypothesize that at some point in the future the two intersect. I don't know if that ever happens. But I can submit to you that that's the trend line. And that leads to a provocative and a scary question. I'm going to presume that every one of us in this room are bound together by a common desire. And that common desire is the best interest of our children and our grandchildren. Agree? Now, how many of you in this room, and I want to see a show of hands, think that your children or your grandchildren are probably looking at a standard of living at a North American economy that is not as good as it is today?